So last night, the party finishes, 12 o'clock, 12:15. I walk outside the lobby, and this beautiful Bentley comes rolling in. I'm thinking, man, look at this thing. Next minute, the door opens. Steve Scott steps out. So I'm like, Steve, is it okay if I touch it? No problem. So I touched it, and I said, is it okay if I open the door and sit inside? Sure. So I sit in the driver's seat. Steve, throw me the keys. He just throws me the keys. He's not here, so don't tell him this. First of all, he doesn't understand that the steering wheel is on the other side of Australia. Secondly, he didn't know how many vodkas I'd had at that point. So it was really important that I understood the gravity of what he'd just done. The trust involved there. This is what's so important here with Max. We've been handed something that is so important and so precious. Now that car was actually Shannon's car. Could you imagine what would have happened if I had done something to that car? Okay. So what we have with Max is so important. I think it's really upon us to take this message to the world in a way that reflects the importance and the value of it. Because when people don't see Max, they see us and how we bring it to them. Right? Now that can happen in a physical sense. It can happen on a phone call, but it can also happen online. Now, I've been fortunate, I have a brilliant mentor who I've looked at and observed from and constantly get coaching on is how to provide a professional image, most of the time, online in Michael Firth. So please give him a round of applause. So we need to protect the Max brand and also your personal brand, because people don't buy Max until they buy you. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
So let's look at what not to do online. Now, these are not necessarily hard and fast rules. This is just my opinion, things that I like to try to use as a guideline for myself. First of all, don't be a motivated idiot. Now, what does that mean? In a physical sense, if we're at a party and we're running around going, Max, 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 you're a motivated idiot. You're excited, but you're not using professional networking skills to bring people to you. What are you going to do if you're maxing people? You're going to push them away. That can happen online. I go and look at some people's wall on their Facebook, and every single post, max this, glutathione that, longevity this. Do you think that's bringing your friends to you? No. Of course it's not. So just be aware of that. Don't spam your friends. Sell, right? Also, don't be one-dimensional. Because sometimes you can go the other way, where I might be into horses, which is fantastic. Horse. Who do you think is going to be attracted to that? What percentage of people? Right. So don't be one-dimensional in what you're doing. Michael likes to talk about it being a great TV channel. You know, you've got the actual program you're watching, you've got some advertisements, you've got some educational things that come on. So you want to have a cross-section of information coming to people that are looking at what you're doing. Personally, I don't mention the company or the product. What's the reason for that? Well, if I come out and at this convention and I go, Max Switch, Meta Switch, anybody who may be interested is going to go to Google and they're going to start looking about it. Or if I put longevity, they're going to go to Google and they're going to start looking about it. Number one, I have no idea that they were even interested because I did not force an interaction. Number two, they might just go buy from somebody else who they find selling it online. Right? So you want to force an interaction. Don't answer questions on the wall. So you might put up a great post that does engage a conversation. They might go, wow, what is it? And you go, wow, it's a big blah, 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 blah. And so you start answering their question, which might be good for that person, but you've now just given everybody else the answer. Does that make sense? You didn't force anybody else to come to you to find out. I don't send links to websites. That's a lazy way to do business. Now, there are certain exceptions to that, depending on the situation, but this is a general strategy for me. If someone says, well, what is that? Or they make some type of comment that suggests they're interested, I don't say, I don't send them a private message and say, well, watch this. I say, what's the best phone number and time to call you? I want to engage a conversation so I can actually find out what made them respond to that message that I put on Facebook. Also, don't talk business first. If you've just connected with somebody on Facebook, even if you know them, or if you've just met them, I don't start, even if I'm talking private message back and forth, I'm not going straight into business, because you're going to come across like you've got an agenda and you're pushing what's important to you, not necessarily what's important to them. Does that make sense for you guys? Okay, so what should you do? Well, first of all, share stories with benefits. I'm going to show you some exact examples I've used so that will make sense. So people don't want the facts initially. You know, glutathione raised by 276%. Who cares? They don't even know what glutathione is. But imagine if you said, oh wow, my mum started on this secret remedy and all of a sudden her shoulder feels much better and now she can continue her work in aged care. That's a story with a benefit, right? 80% should be about you, your life, your family, your hobbies, fun, and also try to include some humour. Right? Sometimes it'll work, sometimes it won't. But if you make people laugh, you can make people listen. For us, what we've done is we've talked about the secret remedy. You don't have to use that terminology, but it's better than saying cell-gevity, right? So you can just say, you might say, oh, well, I jumped on the secret remedy and this happened, or a person I know got onto the secret remedy. You can use any terminology, but you get the concept, right? I'll show you some specific examples in a minute. If someone does ask a question based on a post I put on Facebook, I answer via a private message saying, what's the best number and time to call you? That's all I put on there. If they don't respond, they're obviously not that interested. I won't send information over the internet. By the way, put your hand up if you are not on Facebook or some sort of social networking site. And it's okay if you're not, you don't have to be, all right? But just understand, I mean, I think a great statistic, and Michael, can you please help me? The fastest growing demographic of people who are joining Facebook today? 55-year-old females. Who would have thought? It's not 15-year-old kids. 55-year-old females, the fastest growing demographic. It's a way they can connect. Their kids have left home, they're sitting at home sometimes, or they're working. They're going, well, how do I connect with the rest of the world and keep in contact and look at what my kids are doing and what the grandkids are doing? My mum, she knows what I'm doing because she just keeps looking at all my photos on Facebook, and she knows that I'm eating well because I always post pictures of food, right? So she doesn't have to worry. So make them come to you, engage a live conversation. Here's some examples. So I apologise, I don't have the prompter, so... Wow, I just heard another mind-blowing story about a lady born with cystic fibrosis who was on machines and IV from home. Her very capacity was getting dangerously low, and not long ago, she added one thing to her diet. Her specialist was totally shocked to advise her lung capacity is somehow miraculously back to 100%. The secret remedy does it again. Okay, now this one is right on the bordering on the edge of what we can do as far as disease names and claims and whatnot. That's also the benefit of not talking about a product name. We just talk about a secret remedy. And I go, oh, well, she started eating garlic. Right? But it's not. Have a look at this. 20 people shared that. So there was 20 people who actually shared that and had the value for their own business. And we've got like 40-something people who've liked it. Very first comment, bang. And what, pray tell, was the secret remedy? There's a whole bunch of comments down there that I've chopped off. Let me tell you this person. I met them 12 years ago and have not interacted since at a convention with my first company in Long Beach, California. She's an actress, a singer, a songwriter. There's a lot of voyeurs on Facebook. People who are looking at things, but they're never liking it or making a comment. But a lot of people are seeing things. So this was the first time she engaged in anything she saw. So of course, what did I do? What should have I done? Private message, asking them what? Right. Well, actually, let me go back. Sorry. So that's what I did. I sent Robin a private message. What's a good time and phone number to call you on? I called her up. She signed up immediately with a professional pack. She wanted the product. She was already in another network marketing company, using the product, enjoyed the products. But she also said, listen, I need to get enough product for my mum as well based on what we've just talked about. Okay, here's another example, a short video we put up. And I'll tell you this guy's story afterwards. Okay, so 46 years old, couldn't work for 2 years, ended up with depression, couldn't exercise after 10 days. This is what he's doing. 6 weeks after that, he decided he wanted to enter the Pan Pacific Games and he won a gold medal in Taekwondo. Alright? I was there and I watched that. Another significant lesson, and I'm going to talk to you about what happened with that Facebook post I put up. But I was there, I watched that, and his coach, and he's a sponsor, Tyron Mungakahia, who's a gold associate from Australia, was his coach. And I don't know anything about Taekwondo, but Tyron had, I think, 1 red card. And he, as the coach, you can dispute a decision, that they didn't score a point when they should have, right? Tyron had used his 1 card. And then it was a close match for the gold medal. Guy does this kick, hits the guy in the head, and the judges didn't see it. So Tyron's gone, he scored a point. And they go, you've already used your red card. Tyron says, I don't need a red card to see you got kicked in the head, right? They reviewed it, he got the points and he won. Now, what's the point of the story? The point of the story is that sometimes people, even if they're in the heat of battle, need a mentor to come in and help fight for them because they know what's right. So be prepared to do that for your team, all right? So what happened? I put that post up and most people think, wow, that's for sports people and athletes, and it could be, definitely they could respond to that. Here's the message that came into my private inbox from a lady called Kelly. Hi, how are you? It's been a while. Do you think cell longevity will help me with my chronic pain? I would like to try to reduce the amount of narcotics I'm taking. It's been 6 years. I was wondering if the secret remedy of yours could assist with that. What do you think? Here's my response. 100% Kelly. Nice to hear from you. What's the best time and number to call you on? I had not spoken to her for 10 years. She was with a network marketing company I'd worked with 10, 12 years ago. She had never commented on my Facebook up until that point. I called her. She'd been in a wheelchair. She hadn't been able to attend her children's birthdays for 6 years. Within 16 days, she's out of her wheelchair. Her doctor has half her pain medications. She was at the point where she was depressed and she was ready to end the whole lot. 16 days later, she walked into a training with me on the Gold Coast and burst into tears when she gave us a hug. It's a story I put up with a benefit that she related to. She signed up as a customer. I knew the potential. I said, Kelly, I have a crystal ball and I know what's going to happen for you. The most important thing for you right now is you need to immediately get on this product. I had 1 supply which was mine. I expressed it to her immediately because for her to receive hers from New Zealand, where our product gets sent from, it's at least 1 week. By the time her product arrived to me, it was 16 days she already had these results. All right? But here's the thing. By the time her product arrived as a customer, she says, I have so many people. My doctor wants this, my pharmacist wants this, my sister, the lady that lives with me who's got depression as well, wants this. We transitioned her at that point. She bought a premier pack, and now she's excited and bringing people into the business as we speak. All right? This is again from Facebook. Here's another one. Wow, wow, wow. Just got off the phone to a lady who's jumping out of her skin with excitement and hope after being on the secret remedy for 16 days. So here's the ripple effect. This story is about Kelly. You with me? So, she's out of her wheelchair after a workplace accident a few years ago. Her depression and anxiety has lifted. Her pain is gone to the point where she's out attacking the garden with a smile on her face. My heart leapt into my throat as I heard the quiver in her voice when she said for the first time in 6 years, she will be able to go and enjoy her children's birthdays with them. Around 70 people like that, 8 people shared it. So now Kelly's got started, and we all know a Kelly in our life, right? Even if it's someone in Max that's not part of your team, it doesn't matter. So, I put Kelly's post up. Guess what happens? This is a private message. from a lady I'd met once in New Zealand 5 years ago. Marcus, just read your story on Facebook about the lady in the wheelchair with anxiety and depression. Tell me more. I suffer terribly from anxiety, panic attacks. I never gave up. I even gave up my job due to all the extra stress it was causing me. I was prescribed antidepressants 18 months ago. You get the picture, right? So what do you think I did with that person? What's the best number to call you on? Look at this one.
Hey, the selfies.
This is not the point of the story, by the way. Just 9 days on the flip the switch technology, and these strange lumps are appearing in my tummy. It's true, by the way. First 6 days, 5.5 pounds come off. Doing same exercise, same diet. I wanted to see what would happen, right? But here's the point of the story. A lot of interaction. 30 comments, 30 likes, a bunch of comments. But where are we? I'm trying to even look for, here it is. Send some over to me. Now some people could even read that as a joke. Oh, send some to me. So what do you think I did? Guess what happened? This guy, David, Michael.
I just want to say, Marcus's trump card, which you need to really get, is his plain humour. And nothing is more attractive than humour. And that works for him really, really well.
Marcus, can you repeat it?
Okay. So, David, what's a good time and number to buzz you on? This is his number. Again, David, I hadn't spoken to him for about 10 years. If you're a friend of mine, we don't talk that often. I called him up. He's now working his second job because in the time we hadn't spoken, he'd been divorced, he's paying off a debt. He wants to get on the product. In fact, he wanted the weight loss product. I said, you can't get it yet. So I said, you better sign up and get on the Cellgevity. And he's like, what's that? I said, well, it's just something you need to get on. I said, okay, cool. Title goes here. Headline goes here. I think I got it wrong. Okay. This is a good point. The internet for me is not a way to find people. Right? So I'm not running out trying to spam and sell to people. It is a way for me to connect with someone. In an elevator is a way to connect to someone. In an airplane, that's a way to make a connection. But you're not selling to them or trying to prospect them at that point. You're just connecting. You're making a new friend. Okay? But it is a great way to stay connected. And that's the great thing about Facebook, because every time you're putting up a post, you're in their face, you're in their life. And vice versa. Even if you're not liking and commenting, next time you see them, you say, oh wow, I saw that you went to America and I saw you jumped in this Bentley. Whose was that, by the way? Right? But it's also a great way to communicate and share information with people I already know. I'm sorry, we got the wrong the wrong slides. I wanted to leave this slide until this morning. I put it together with key activities. I'm going to wrap up on this. What should you be doing, or what am I going to do when I get home? The first thing I'm going to do when I get home is I'm going to book an event. I'm going to book multiple events because we need to share what's come out of this convention with the team. I'm going to support an event. So even if you're not booking an event in your local area because your leadership already has, we should be turning up and paying to support that event. Right? Of course, then we're going to promote those events. Make sure everybody, not just your team, but the people you know there's an event happening that they need to be at. The final thing I want to conclude on is Bernie started the day with. The brand new Associates Challenge is to get out of their comfort zone. Do you remember that? There's a saying which says, fake it till you make it. Have you heard that one? I don't like that saying. It doesn't fit for me. I don't feel like walking around and trying to be something I'm not. It doesn't fit. There's another saying, which I wouldn't use in a prospecting because we're all friends, right? I like the shit yourself to success. Because when you're outside your comfort zone, that's what you feel like, right? You're shitting yourself. If you keep making yourself feel like that every day, not literally, but if you keep making yourself feel like that every day, oh no, here I go, ooh, here we go again. Oh, look at the results I just got. Right? So when you feel that way, you say, I'm doing it, keep doing it. That's that's it. Thank you very much. And actually, just before I wrap up, a special thank you to Chris Ingris because he coordinated all of today. This is not a corporate event. Chris Ingris organized all of this. Okay, thank you, Chris.